And I'm recording.
Welcome to the CFRI main meeting. My name's Todd Hutchison. I'm filling in this evening for our illustrious president, Jay Spann. He had a emergency out of town obligation. He could not join us. We have a great show for you tonight. And I want to thank Buffy for all her work and all the other board members as well. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the October 6th general meeting. And just a second, Buffy. My thing just went small for some reason. Okay. We're glad you're here. We hope you learned something tonight from our spooky stories. Please read that. CFRI is a not-for-profit business association. We follow ethical real estate investing. We're all about education and networking. Okay, go ahead, Buffy. Buffy, I cannot read this because my thing is so small. I'm going to try to fix it right now. If you could read that, please, while I try to fix it.
This is our disclaimer. CFRI does not give legal, tax, economic, or investment advice. CFRI disclaims all liability for the action or inaction taken or not taken as a result of communications from or to its members, officers, directors, employees, and contractors. Each person should consult their own counsel, accountant, and other advisors as to legal, tax, economic, investment, and related matters concerning real estate and other investments.
Okay, I got it fixed. If you have a question, Buffy, we're going to use the Q&A, not the other stuff. Use Q&A if you have a question. We're not going to take them right now, but towards the end, when we have our panelists, you'll be able to ask questions at the end. So please remember that. We want to invite you to join us outside of the meetings on our different social media pages. Most active one that I know of is the Facebook page. It's the CFRI members only. You can get any question you want answered there. It's a great group of people to help and to socialize. There's also all the deals of the month, or a lot of the past deals of the month are on YouTube, and we're on Meetup and Twitter. So join that group if you're a member. If you're a guest, it's one of the benefits of being a member. You get to join that group and get a lot of education. Okay. We're proud to be a chapter member of the National RIA. We've been a member since 1989 when we were founded, and this gives you a lot of benefits. Those are some of the benefits. Buffy told me right before the meeting, we've got a new page, if you haven't been to it yet, on the CFRI.net, on the members only page. All these now have a link to the individual benefits that you can get from it. The Office Depot's one is awesome. The Home Depot's awesome. I've used the Avis and Budget one and saved like 120 bucks. So there's definitely some good stuff in there if you want it. I'm interested to see the Podio one. A lot of people use Podio to see if we get a good deal on that. So that's a really good potential one. So use the benefits. They can make you some money. The big thing that you get if you join CFRI is Home Depot rebate. Every 6 months, you'll get 2% back on any qualifying purchase that you use your credit card or checking account that's hooked up to the program. And if you ever have any problems with that, you can call Buffy and she can try to help you. But the only hard part really is they'll call you from a toll-free number and you just have to answer your phone. So that's the code you have to use, NREIA, when you sign up for the Home Depot Pro Extra program. But paint discounts and all kind of good stuff. Office Max, as I mentioned before, you text CFRI card to that phone number, 844-446-6358. They'll text you back a scannable barcode that you can use when you go in the store, and you will save some good money on printing especially. Always go to our website, especially now with all this COVID craziness. Make sure the meetings are still on, and whether they're on Zoom or in person. We want to make sure that you go to there to look for our business members as well. Since we can't meet as often as we would like, it's more paramount that you find the better business members, ones that we know are good and we vetted, that they have to have a license if they need a license and that kind of stuff. So please go to the business member directory at CFRI.net when you're looking for a trade or a title company or a lawyer or inspector or anything like that. So it's a valuable resource. You should take advantage of it. We're looking for board members. You may or may not know we're a volunteer organization. We have 9 board members, and then we have a full-time employee, Buffy, and a part-time employee, Lindsay. We are run by the board. We need you. We need your help. The board extended the nomination deadline till Sunday, October 10th. That is this Sunday at midnight. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to talk to you. Buffy you can contact Buffy at the number there, 407-328-7773, to know what the obligations are. It's a great way to get noticed. It's a great way to serve. You get a lot of benefits. You get to go to the classes for free in most cases, So we need people to serve, and we'd love to have you come and be a part of that and hopefully join us on the board next year. So if you have any questions, just go to the website or contact Buffy. And if you want to talk about it, I'll be glad to talk to you offline. The monthly newsletter is a valuable resource. We want 2 things. We want you to read it, but we also need people to give us some articles. So if you have something that's real estate related and you're a pretty decent writer, even if you're a crummy writer, Buffy and the rest of them will make it beautiful. So if you have a good idea for an article, please submit it and make sure you read it. That is available online at CFRI.net this month as well. So here's an update on the meetings. As of right now, as of today, obviously that could change. That's why we want you to go to CFRI.net. Osceola County, Commercial Group, Focus Group, and Seminole County are on Zoom. So those 3 meetings are on Zoom. The rest of the meetings, with the exception of the main meeting, are in-person meetings. Some of those meeting locations have changed during COVID from what they used to be, what you're accustomed to. For instance, Volusia changed, Lake changed. I don't want you to show up at where they used to meet and be disappointed. So make sure you find out where they're currently meeting and join us. So again, Osceola County Commercial and Seminole are not in person. The rest of them are in person. So everything this year created the meeting after the meeting. Normally, if we're in an in-person meeting, we all go out and we get together and we talk and we help each other and we have a cocktail. This allows you to have a cocktail in your own home or a Coke or something and sit around and talk to other investors. It's a small group. You get put in, how many is the group? 8 to 10 people in each group?
Yeah, 8 to 10 people. It's a nice
Okay.
size group.
And we have one person, sort of leading the conversation. It's a great way to meet other people and get some questions you might be scared to ask in a larger setting and get to know people better. So the meeting after the meeting, you have to register for that, correct, Buffy?
Yes, you do. You sure do.
Is it
You
too
have to
late
use
to
a different
register
Zoom.
for that?
There's a different Zoom link, and I will put that up into the chat in just 2 seconds.
Okay, so she's going to put a link to the Zoom meeting after the meeting registration. You still have time to do it. So directly after the meeting ends, we go into the Zoom meeting after the meeting, and we hope you join us there as well. There it is. She just put it up. So you can click on that and register. Awesome. Thank you, Buffy. Awesome. I told Buffy beforehand, I'm not sure if Sandra joined us yet, but that's a good looking picture of Sandra, isn't it? She's on a health kick, and you can definitely tell. But anyway, Sandra is one of our best presenters, best teachers. She really has a knack for teaching. This is an all-day class on investing in tax deeds and tax liens. Sandra Edmond is the queen of tax deeds. She's a former newscaster, if you didn't know that. And the class is going to be Saturday, October 9th, 9:30 a.m. till 5 p.m. It is on Zoom, but it is interactive, so you will be able to ask questions. Correct, Buffy?
Yes, you will. And I just put up the link for that as well.
Okay, so the current price is $89 through, I guess that's Thursday, it looks like. And for members, and $109 for non-members, and it goes up $20 if you don't register. It's a great class. You will learn stuff that'll help you. And if you only do a tax deed or tax lien once every 2 years, knowing the information. So if you run into a property that's about to go to tax deed sale, this will help you know the steps that you have to take to try to still get that property, or what to do if you can't talk the seller into selling it to you before the sale and you still want the property. So I highly suggest this class. It's really good. Sandra's a great teacher, and you can't beat the price. Did Sandra show up, Buffy?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Well, if she does, we'll let her speak before the 4 presenters if she shows up.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a new and unique thing that you're allowed to take advantage of, and we hope you do if you're a guest. If for a limited time, we're testing it, so it may go away next month or the month after that, who knows? But we're giving a trial membership. So if you want to put your toes in the water and see if you love it as much as we love it, you can do that for only $75 for 3 months. So it's a 3-month trial for one person for $75 for 90 days from the date you paid. And then if you join, Buffy, does that 75 get credited towards the full membership, or how does it work?
So if they join after the 3 months, no, it doesn't get credited. But if they decide during those 3 months, we will prorate and we will give them credit for the unused portion that they haven't used yet.
So once you love it, you'll be able to take that 75 and just put it towards your full membership. So it's a great way to test the waters. If you are not a member and don't know or don't have the full money for some reason, this is a way for you to join us, and we'd love to have you. You can do that right on the website, CFRI.net. If you do want to join, you know that for sure. You see the benefits, you see relationships you can build and the business you can get. You can use Fall 21 when you go to the website to join. In the promo code, use Fall 21, and that'll get you $25 off your membership. So do that. Make sure you save the $25. Okay, so this is my favorite part of the meeting. We have Mr. Stephen Young. Stephen, are you with us?
I'm here, Todd.
Awesome. So Stephen's going to take over the meeting for a few minutes, and he's going to talk to you about the deal or dud of the month. And we have 2 really cool stories. So please take it away, Stephen.
All right, appreciate that. Thank you, Todd. I like that. We're like, hey, you're going to take over the meeting. I like how that sounded. All right, so with that, Stefano, are you here?
I am. Can you hear me well?
Yes, you're coming in great. So excellent. So this deal, record-setting deal, that's what we're calling this one. I'm not so sure based on this picture, though, however. But before we jump in, guys, out there on the internet, if you have a question, please post it in the Q&A portion of the Zoom meeting. So we'll do our best to get to those at the end. I might take a few here and there, but if you have questions, put them in the Q&A. So Stefano, you sure there's a house back here?
Yeah, as you can see so far, a window there and something on the back. Doesn't really look much like a house, but that's the picture of when I found it, when I got the deal. That's what I was dealing with, a house enclosed by jungle.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So how did you find the deal? Did you drive for dollars, or how'd you go about that?
This was a wholesale deal. It came in, originally they contacted me and they wanted, an amount that I thought was too high. And I wasn't familiar with the city of Eustis. That was my first deal there.
Okay.
So I said, hey, if you, can give me a lower price, give me a call, reach out to me and we can do something. And then he passed by about a week. I guess he couldn't find a buyer.
Okay.
And reached out and dropped the price, around 20, was it 20 or 30,000 less than he was asking, which was where I was at, was where I was comfortable going into this deal. And it worked out. So that's how it came up.
Excellent. So for the audience, just to get an understanding, to your tenure in flipping houses, how many of these types of projects have you taken on?
This was house probably number 25, 26, this property here. So yes, I have done a few.
Okay.
So I was comfortable with the level of rehab, even though you will see that I did very minor rehab. My personal style, I do not like the ones that really need a lot of work, even though I have the ability to do it,
Gotcha.
being a contractor, but I like simple. I don't
All
like
right.
to do a whole lot of work because it takes a lot of time and it's, it's tiring. It's just, it's tough. And a
I
lot
like
of times
that.
the spread is not as great as you think. Once you add everything up and the time and the holding costs,
Mhm.
it adds up.
All right, excellent. I think that's the first time all year I've heard that, as a flipper, I want it as easy as possible, minimum amount of work, but big profit. So cool, very cool. All right, Buffy, next slide. So before we jump into the numbers, which you got a fantastic price here, the one thing that's been bothering me, right? So I look at the picture on the left, I look at the picture on the right. Was there seriously a driveway under
Yes,
this
the
car here?
driveway is there. The picture on the left, you can see the wheel of a car.
Yeah.
That's actually the seller's grandson. Grandma lived there, and grandma moved to live with him. He
Okay.
didn't want to deal with the house. He lived in another city. The house had a lot of belongings from grandma, but usually old sofas and just junk and things. So I had to. She wasn't a hoarder. I have done a hoarder house before, but was not a hoarder home.
Okay.
It was just junk from many years there. The old lady living there, and the driveway is there, but it was full of leaves, and so you don't see it, but it's there. The car, the picture is right
Wow.
on top of that driveway. Yes.
Unbelievable. So what was your biggest concern going into this? Because I mean, you got it for an excellent price. Sounds like you did a great job negotiating. The after repair value looks excellent. So what was your biggest concern?
My biggest concern was who could I find locally to handle this jungle cleaning, because the house had overgrown plants all around it.
Yeah.
And he had some trees that were growing, and the branches were going above the house. So my concern was that. So I do have a landscaper I usually hire, but I wasn't sure if he covered that house, that area. So I did some calling around, and the first quote I got was like $8,000, which to me was absurd. It was just insanely crazy. There's no way I'll do it myself. I have to start cutting the trees down. But that was just crazy. And then I called this contact and said, hey, I don't know if it's in your area. You're going to have to go a little further, help me out. I always give him business. He also gives me the dumpsters. He also has dumpsters. So I hire him for landscaping and the dumpster that I need. So he took care of it. And I was for like $2,000. So it was much, much less. So that was good. He came in with his crew, and probably a day and a half got all the really heavy,
the heavy lifting done.
greenery out of there. So it improved a lot after the trees were cut and the grass and the plants.
Excellent. So we'll jump into that on the next slide. But before we do, did you use any private money to help purchase the property, or did you just...
This one I did. Okay. I did use hard money. The numbers worked out well, and I prefer to do it that way. Yes.
All right. Excellent. Okay. Next slide, Buffy. So you alluded to the yard cleanup and the trash. So the repairs, the cost, that's excellent. So what was, I mean, obviously this is a new place that you've gone into. How big of a challenge was that for you? Because you had the guy, you're struggling to get the prices you wanted and you're getting quoted. So how big of a challenge was that?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the house, from the experience, I saw that the house structurally was solid. That's the most important thing going into any house. Make sure there's no major surprises. A major surprise is a problem. I'm talking about $10,000 or above. you always gotta leave a little cushion for any little surprises. So I budgeted 20, came out at 22,000, as you can see there. So that's reasonable. The what can I say? I'm trying to think of any surprises that I had, but well, I guess we can talk about it later on the sell side. Let's, I guess, focus on the actual rehab. Roof recoating, I did not do a new roof. I try to stay away from that unless the roof is leaking. If it's not leaking, I don't repair, I replace roofs. I know a lot of other rehabbers
Mm-hmm.
that they are, let's replace the roof. And I actually stay away from it as long as the roof is not leaking and it's in okay shape. What I do is that I clean it. I get up, there's a person I hire, he goes in and he cleans the roof and he makes it look so much younger. So
Oh, wow.
it brings a lot of
Okay.
life to, but of course it has to be a good roof. It cannot be leaking. In this case, since it was a tilted roof and it was a flat tilted roof, so all I did was I applied recoating, just bought it in Lowe's, cost me maybe $200.
Really?
I went there in the roof with a helper, and in one evening, we recoated all. It's a white coating, so it reflects light. It helps keep the house cool and increases the lifespan of the roof many years out. So that was one of those added value things that I threw in there, which, the cost was low, but the benefit, the perceived benefit is high.
Right.
Put in a brand new central AC. The AC that was there was actually from 1987. So it was the oldest AC I have ever seen doing rehabs. And it worked. It didn't cool. It blew air, but it blew air. But
didn't blow cold air, so maybe it really didn't work, right?
But hey, it was blowing air, so it's too old to try to repair anything. So we put in a new one there. The shower, you can see there that it was only one full bathroom in this house, and that's the picture.
Oh.
It had those old, super resistant bathtubs.
Yeah.
It weighs a ton. So that stayed in place, and the tile was in good shape. It was just green and didn't look very nice. So I reglazed it all white. I think there's a picture coming up that shows it all reglazed. It's something I also do many times when the bathroom is in good shape and the house is a modest home, is nothing high end. I keep it simple, especially now in a hot market. There's no reason to overdo things. It's not that I'm cheap or whatnot. There's just no need. It's not gonna really change your appraisal or anything. It's just not needed.
Okay.
I send it and go ahead. Yeah.
So actually we did have a question that kind of popped up somewhat in relation. So I think this is tied to your roof recoating. Someone wanted to know, how does that affect the homeowner's insurance? I don't know if you have an answer for that, but
yeah, I mean, when I buy the home, usually I need insurance right up front to protect the lender. I use the hard money lender, so that was covered there. And of course, when I sold it, it's usually one of the first questions agents ask. What's the condition of the roof?
right.
I tell them the truth. It doesn't have any leaks. I recoated it. I can give you receipts. Here's the pictures. You can have your inspector check it out, and that goes a long way. I can tell him, it has another 5-10 year life, but then the inspector can say something else. But I'm just upfront about it. With that recoating, they shouldn't have any issues for at least minimum 5 years, minimum. And most home buyers can get insurance. I haven't had issues for the end buyer to get insurance.
Okay, excellent. And as you were talking, I was picking up, you said a lot of we and us. Did you do most of this work yourself? Or
No.
Okay.
I found local handyman.
Okay.
I reside about an hour away from this property. But yeah, I hired local people to help me out. The only person I used from previous rehabs was my electrician and the landscaper guys I had mentioned. And that's it. Yeah, I hired local people to help me get the trash out and things. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And this question always comes up, so I'm gonna dig in a little bit more here. So what was that interview process for the contractors? Because a lot of our duds that we've had in the past is as a result of poor contractors. So do you have a system in place to kind of figure out, if these guys are legit or not?
My filtering process is the gut feeling
gut.
filter. Yeah. From, over time, from talking with people, a simple conversation, when can you start, your availability, just talking, you kind of know when the person is a complicated, a problematic contractor, or some people go and do a big deal about calling references and all that. And I personally believe if you find that guy that you call his references, everything is wonderful. He's always on time. Everything is great. His price is not going to be very low. You want a high expectation, expect to pay high. So I always go with a modest expectation. Certain things I try to be more picky. For example, the reglazing. I hired a professional to reglaze, because if you do it wrong, it starts to peel and chip and it's a disaster. So certain things, it has to be a reasonable professional. But some other stuff, painter. I get a modest painter with a fair price. If, he drips paint here and there, guess what? I got to clean it, or, it pays off. So gut feeling, I just call one or two people and, hey, give me a price. When can you do it? How long is it going to take? And that's pretty much it.
Cool. Excellent. Appreciate you giving us a little peek into the window there. So awesome. Okay, Buffy, next slide. So let's talk numbers. Let's see how you did. So, okay, this is why we call this a home run deal. So you did excellent. And the one thing I noticed, folks probably won't remember unless they rewind the tape here. You previously had the ARV at 160. What happened? It's at 188.
That is correct. Yes, this is I'm shocked myself how it came to be. Prices went up significantly, in everywhere, specifically that zone as well. I don't say that, hey, I chose an awesome house, whatever. I think was just a bit of fortitude, just luck, I could say.
Okay.
On selling this home. And this was actually a cash buyer. It was one of those, investor companies that come and they buy cash all over the place.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I actually, I tried to do, my first offer was an FHA, but the FHA, unfortunately, when you're dealing with first-time home buyers, they have sometimes unreasonable expectations about the home they're getting. So, they already don't have a lot of resources, but then they also want the home to be absolutely perfect. And the darn inspectors, they're professionals at scaring buyers.
Oh boy, careful. There's a few of them on here.
Oh man, they are incredible. Because they find a little thing, there's a double tapping on the electrical panel. And for a person that doesn't know, that sounds, oh my gosh, so scary. My house is going to burn down. But it's all about moving a wire from one breaker to the other. Problem solved. It's very simple things. But, the wiring in this house was partially original, partially was newer.
Okay.
So, once you take the panel out and you see the older wire, they mention wires older, and people freak out. Oh my gosh, I gotta get my whole house rewired. No, you don't. Inside that wire is a copper wire. It's the same copper wire from 80 years ago to now. It's still a copper wire. The little plastic that goes around the wire, which the modern ones we're used to, is usually white or yellow. It's that's the modern wires, cables, the modern cables. And, back then they used to be black and they had this threaded, if you ever, done any rehab, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It has a threaded older cover on the wire. Right. And that's just a older band that used to go around the cables. But, an uneducated person, they see all these little red flags from the inspector. Oh my gosh, I'm scared. You got to give me a huge discount.
Oh,
because
wow.
I got to rewire the house. So anyways, I tried it twice. 2 FHA buyers didn't work. This person came in, full price offer, cash, closed. Wonderful. And just to conclude, I'm actually selling the same buyer. I'm selling him another house.
No way, really?
Same
Wow.
buyer, cash, wonderful, best ever.
Good deal. So I guess down here you got it. It sold just a couple months ago. So I'm guessing the FHA issues is what contributed to the additional holding costs in the 4.5 months to sell.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, exactly. I actually had the house ready around, 3 months. You could say 3 months from buy to put it on the market, and then
Okay,
a month
it's
and a
not bad.
half to sell. Because you put it under contract, you gotta wait a week or two for the inspection to be done, and then you lose the buyer, and then another 2 days after, another contract. I didn't wait long from one offer to the other because there, it's hot, so the
So they were
offers
coming
come
in.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another 2 weeks for the other buyer to get the inspection done, fell through. And then the cash buyer came. So it was the third person, I dealt with to close. But, even with those challenges, I think I had a reasonable hold time. 4.5 months with these challenges is very
Right.
reasonable. And one of the reasons is I didn't have to do any major rehab. I painted inside and out and did, those things on the list. I really
Yeah.
didn't do any
No,
demo.
this is great. I mean, it's excellent. And the quality of the work, I'll put air quotes, the minimal amount of work you did there. I mean, it looks fantastic. So
Yeah,
great,
I mean,
great
it's
job, man.
incredible. I reused the toilet. I reused the vanity.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
Oh
What I
man.
do is if the toilet looks a little ugly, I put a chemical on it to make it clean. It's a standard chemical you buy in Home Depot, nothing crazy about it. And I changed the lid, the toilet seat.
Yeah.
Just with that alone, it looks basically new. So the toilet is $100, a new toilet. It's not the cost. Is removing the toilet. You gotta
The
demo
effort,
and take it
yeah.
down. Is a pain. Buying the new one, which is a big old heavy box with a toilet inside. You have transportation issues because the handyman, from around the block, a lot of times he doesn't have a truck to bring the toilet in. So it's a simple thing that is cheap, but it adds time and complications. So I try to keep it simple and recycle the toilet if I can. The vanity was good, so I kept it. Right there, you have the reglazed tile, white in the tub. I just changed the flooring. I didn't change it. I put on top of the existing one, which was tile, I put a laminated glue down vinyl
Okay.
on
Wow.
the floor, so I didn't have to demo the floor below, and a new mirror and the new light fixture, and that's it. And
Wow.
I changed the valves in the shower. I just put a new one. I mean, just the surface, just what you see. What you see is new, but behind the wall is still the old
The
one.
original
I
stuff.
just make it nice, make sure everything works properly, and that's it. That's a
Wow.
2-day, one-person bathroom rehab.
What a deal. And then there you go, profit 70 grand. So let's go to the next slide.
Yeah, that was
No,
very fortunate. Yeah, you can
No,
change
this is
slide.
great. Yeah, this is unbelievable, Stefano. Like,
Yeah,
we
it
didn't
was
really talk
definitely-
prior, but I assumed you just blew this place up, but this is incredible.
No, I mean, the place already had newer windows. You can see there that window is unusual. It's the first time I seen it. It's a window that ends on a corner. You usually don't have a window that ends on a corner. The reason that is because this house is on a hill, and when the house was built and there was very little vegetation, you could see the lake. But then the person that lives on the lake, his trees grew, and then the neighbor, his trees grew, and then I had my own trees there in the lagoon, so that blocks the lake. There's no more lake view because all the vegetation grew from the neighborhood and blocked the view. But that's why you have that interesting shape there, because you could see a little bit of the lake, because this house was uphill, and but that was that.
Great. So let me see. I don't see any questions. I think people are just in a state of shock right now that you were able to put something like this together, because again, it looks incredible. So I'll end with this question. What did you enjoy most about doing this deal? I mean, other than the profit, right?
No, of course.
But what did you enjoy?
I always like to, every project I learn something new. There's always, learning things. This house, I had never refinished the wood floor. And I called the company, they wanted like $5,000 or $6,000. And I thought it was a little too much. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot myself. Did it come out perfect? Absolutely not. It had flaws all over the place. So, you know, me and my Craigslist guys that I found, I mean, forget it. It was you know, when you're pushing the sander, if you have ever done this, it's expensive for a reason. If you want it to be super nice, you gotta push that sander up and down 100 times.
Right.
And push it too hard, then you chews the wood too much. So I had areas where the wood was a little bit chewed up. It was, you know, not something that I could offer to a client. You know, don't hire me to polish your floors ever.
Notes.
It might not be the
Note
result that
taken.
you want.
Yeah.
But you know, I winged it. A lot of times you gotta wing a few things. It doesn't come out perfect, but you just keep, you know, pushing yourself and improving. It's a constant self-improving process. And hey, at the end of the day, you know, you win. You can succeed. You know.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, with that, let me see. Oh, someone said what was the hardest part of the deal? I think you've already kind of mentioned that several times because it's a newer area. So Joe, please go back and watch the replay because we got to get to the next one.
Yeah.
But Stefano, thank you. Appreciate you for sharing with the group, the organization. So thank you, man. This was great.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We should have probably called that one the budget setting deal or something. But either way, good job, Stefano. Record setting deal. So let's go to the next one.
Thank you.
So Peter, are you there?
Good evening. How you guys doing? Yes, I'm here.
Good. Hey, Peter. So fun fact, I don't know if you and Stefano know this. This deal was also done in Eustis, and it was like 4 minutes away. So his house was like 4 minutes away from your house. So
The same neighborhood for sure. Yeah.
Definitely in the neighborhood. So that's so cool to me that you guys were working on these deals almost at the same time as well. So let's jump into this deal. We're calling it the deal, the dud, the restoration. So give us a little backstory. How did you find this deal, and how does it relate to the dud that you did for us back in February?
Well, this house was owned as a homesteaded home by a friend of mine. I would say my first real estate mentor when I started real estate 8 years ago. Good friend of us, and you know, we visited each other. So he bought this house for $86,000, and he did some major repairs like ceilings and new air conditioning,
Okay.
new electrical, a partial replumbing, and painting, beautiful kitchen, bathroom. So he did like about $25,000 in improvements, because he was downsizing. In his thought at the moment, his thought was, okay, I'm gonna stay in this house for a while. So, well, I believe like a year and a half into it, he called me, hey, Peter, I have an emergency. I need your help. Please talk to one of your, you know, your wealthy friends at the Investors Club, and find me someone that can bring me $100,000 for the house plus closing costs. So, you know, but we need to close fast. You know, title work is ready. So we can make this happen in, you know, no more than 2 weeks. Let's get it done. So this is where, you know, this is a side note, because this is a almost 100% CFRI deal, you know?
Okay. Wow.
And it is, for me, it's been instrumental. It's been extremely important, the relationships I have built within the club, right? So
Sure.
I called Coney O'Halen, right? And truth was, you know, from the get-go, was because I knew the quality of the work he did on the restoration. I thought, well, I'll try to get it by for me. I'm not going to pass it over to him for an investor, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that Connie got he got there like 5 minutes before me. She called me, Peter, where are you at? I like this neighborhood. I like this house. Where are you?
Yeah, right.
So I just parked, and we was a little messy, you know. The lady who had it rented, because my friend, he moved like 6 months, about 8 months prior, he bought another house and moved to the water, a little house by the water in Lake, I think it's Lake Monroe or something.
Okay.
So he had a tenant on it.
So
Paying,
okay, got it. So the house was currently being rented when you and
correct.
Connie walked through
The
it.
rent for
Okay.
$13.95 a month.
Okay, got it.
It was dirty, and she had two. I don't know why he authorized her to have 2 dogs and 2 cats
Oh, okay.
inside the house.
All right.
Inside the house. And just imagine this. The smell was horrible. But generally speaking, the house was in good shape. So I remember we were walking through the house, and Connie said, "Okay, I like this house. How much you they're asking for 100,000, and how much you need?" Well, would you lend me 110 so I can cover, the cleanup and closing costs and insurance?
All right.
Yeah, I lend you 110,000. So we made it happen. The tenant, she was
So
a bartender.
let's go to the next slide before we get too far ahead of ourselves here. Okay, so there we go. There's the purchase price.
Prior to it, because the tenant, that first tenant that inherited, she was a bartender and she lost her job with all this COVID stuff was happening, right? So she just called me, "I'm not renewing the lease. I'm leaving because I cannot afford the house." So she left the house, kind of broom clean, but she did not took the fleas. There was a bunch of fleas all over the house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we're gonna, so we got something kind of special lined up where we're gonna actually kind of show the audience a video. We're not jumping to it just yet, but we're gonna give them a little taste of what you had to experience when you went through it. So before we get there though, so your strategy this whole time, because, and you mentioned that the previous owner had done $25,000 worth of repairs. So the place looks pretty good. And so you going in, your idea was just to simply clean it up and then sell the house? Or were you going to buy and hold?
My initial thought was I bought it with the intention of holding it.
Okay.
There was a building, a detached building, about 450 square feet in the back, that it was getting prepared for an apartment. My thought was, well, eventually I will get it finished and do something with it, and increase my my cash flow with it. So I bought it with the intention to hold it. So when that first tenant left, I just basically clean it up. I spent just a couple $100. I had to rent a scrubber and some chemicals to clean up the floors and reseal them and put it back in the market. And I got it rented again for $13.95 again, to the lady who left the house in this condition you're seeing it now.
I see. Okay. So now we got kind of a complete picture here. So excellent. Awesome. Let's go to the next slide to talk about this tenant that you had who, didn't leave it in great condition. And after this, we'll have the video that kind of, you can talk us through a few more things as well. But high level, what was kind of the condition? So, I mean, from this picture, we can tell it was pretty horrible. So,
well, during a period of time, I was really worried that it was going to become sour, like a dud. That's how we get engaged first time in this conversation, considering the deal. Because when I bought it, at the moment that I bought it, it was the after repair value was around 170, 175 at the most, right? So it was still a good deal, right? But when this the thing, I went through a period of let's say 3 months, May, June, and July, where the lady called me, and on my contracts I have 3 inspections every 4 months, right?
Got it.
And the first one was, a lot of clutter on the corner, boxes all over the place, was fairly clean and reasonable, right? On the second inspection, she was supposedly just out of having a high risk delivery, and she was hospitalized and we couldn't do the second inspection. I let
see.
it go.
Okay.
And when May came, she called me, Mr. Lopez, I want to renew my lease, but the truth is that for about 10 months out of the year, she was late like 5 months, and she was struggling. And my wife had her other plans in mind, and we thought, you know what, let's sell this house because the market is getting so hot. I did the comps, and I was did something when I was shocked when I put it up to wow, now it's like 220.
Right,
That's
225, what we saw on the other slide, yeah.
So I thought, okay, so let's get it sold. So when I told her I was not renewing the lease, at the moment she called me, it was kind of crazy. She called me like, I think it was May the 5th or the 6th. I had
Okay.
already sent her the 3-day notice, right?
Yep.
And she calls me and asks me for renewing the lease. I said, I'm sorry, I'm selling the house. By the way, are you aware that you're asking me to renew the lease and you're not paid the May month? You're late.
Oh, wow.
I'm selling the house. So, well, she did not pay May. She stopped answering my calls, my questions, May, June. And then when I realized that something was not going, as planned, I as part of my emails, I was instructing her to please apply for the rental assistance program.
Okay, very good.
So, somehow she agreed, but nothing was happening. I was calling the office, well, still missing some papers. I will let you know. We'll let you know. We'll let you know was that I called them and say, oh, thank God you called. We're ready to close this deal and cancel the application because why? Oh, she has not sent, we have everything from you, but we don't have her tax returns. So,
Okay, so she never sent the paperwork necessary to get the funds needed. Wow.
We talked about it that moment. I thought, well, this is definitely going to go into a dud because I thought it was already, as you can see, 3 months in due rents plus expenses. So I was just thinking maybe my $6,000 hit on it. So
Wow.
I don't know how, don't ask me how. I just follow up. And one of those calls, the lady from the rescue assistant program told me, you know what? I talked to my boss and they approve your case. They're gonna refund you. So I got a check for $4,800.
All right, good deal. The money's in the follow-up,
Yep.
Very good. So excellent. So let's go to the next slide where we actually walk through the house and you get a little sense of why you really thought this was a dud. And then we'll see essentially how you restored it. So it became a restoration. So we got you walking in here.
That's a snake. That's a snake. And that plastic bin at the bottom.
Oh, there was a snake right there? Okay.
Live snake. Yep.
So yeah, this is, I could see why your mindset would not be a positive one.
At that moment, yeah, I was thinking 3 months of due rents plus the cleanup expenses, whatever some repairs I had to do, not much.
So yeah, it started to add up, and I could see why you would have concern.
On the kitchen was like rotten food, with live maggots. It was just disgusting. The stench was just.
Wow, and at this point, had the tenant moved out? Or was she still there? Do you remember?
Yes. Great. Thank you for asking, because the way that I figured out was actually, again, taking advantage of the resources and the relationships that we built, within the club. I was in a table with, I believe the table was David Dostal, was Todd, Mr. Todd Hutchison,
Okay.
Robin, and we start talking about it, and and they said something like, "Hey, Peter, call her and offer her money. And I was, that's a hard pill to swallow, right? I said, geez.
Right, cash for keys, cash for keys.
She owes me money, the house is a mess, and I have to pay her to leave. And then he looked at me, he noticed my demeanor. He said, listen to me. I've been doing this for long enough. Listen to me, follow my advice. Well, during this trying to reach her out, I sent an email. She responded on the emails. I don't have the means to get my stuff out of the house. I replied back immediately. No worries. I pay for the U-Haul truck. I will bring it tomorrow. It was like a Tuesday. I will bring it tomorrow. You have until Sunday to get your stuff out of the house. You just have to broom clean it. No more. You don't have to do much. She did not respond. That was a Tuesday, right? And on Thursday, I sent another email, follow-up email. It appears that you're not interested on the truck. How about if in addition of the truck, I give you $500 to help you out? She did not respond. So my wife was Peter, listen, my wife told me something is not right here. In the condition that this lady left the house,
yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed, there's 2 baby cradles,
yep.
Boxes of Pampers, diapers, clean the wipes to clean up babies. I mean, a lot of clothing. Again, rotten food on the kitchen. The fridge was full of food.
Wow.
So she said something is not right here. This lady may be running away from someone,
Yeah.
So it occurred to me just like that. I just came to this same spot where I'm sitting right now. I type in Miss So-and-so, based on the condition that you left the house and the fact that you're not accepting such a generous offer, I'm paying for your moving and offering you money to move out.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that you're running away from someone. Hopefully you're not been hurt. And I'm going to call the police and the Department of Children and Family. Not even 2 minutes later, she got a reply back on email, like in a very, upset tone. That's very harassing and invasive. You don't need to call nobody. My kids and I are in a safe place. We have all we need. Please don't call me back or email me back.
Wow.
So I replied back. That's good to hear that you're safe, your kids and you are safe, but what do you want me to do with your personal stuff? Say, please discard of it as you wish.
All right. Yeah. And you got the okay. You got what you needed. Then there's a dumpster.
I brought in a dumpster. If you go back to the repair expense, was because the roof was in not so good condition. It was a solid buyer where a conventional loan with 20% down. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to, I just want to secure it. So we did the roof for $10,400. We did a new, paid $250 for the cleanup for the couple people that came up to clean up the house.
Right.
$170 for the garage door. They hit it with the car lightly and they broke one of the, the sprocket on the motor. What else?
So again, you didn't have to do anything major. Just
this total was like repairs, including the roof, was like $12,000.
Yeah, I don't think it was much. So let's go to the next slide and see how you did. So what I want to interject here, just listening to you talk, is I hear a lot of people say, oh, investors are all about the money and don't care, but you really went out of your way to help this individual. So I applaud you for that. You're leading by example, truly. And so I just wanted to give you a shout out for that. So in any case, here you ended up selling it at the new ARV for the area, and you had a total profit of $94,000, Peter. So, I mean, that's just incredible. Yeah, Todd's giving the hand clap. Everyone, like if we were on stage, I'd be probably doing a backflip or something, and people would be applauding. So, just excellent work. So, same question. I saw it pop up previously, but it disappeared. So do you think, kind of like Stefano, do you think it's as a result of the market being as hot as it is, or some other factor? Because I mean, the finishes in this place is awesome. I mean, it just seems like you just need to clean it up. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I had a different experience with an iBuyer.
Okay.
It's on the market. A friend of mine referred me to an iBuyer. And again, I say this respectfully. I'm a real estate agent. This is what I do every day. You know, I don't know, between 2 and 5 transactions a month. So I do this regularly. I have lost quite a few listings through iBuyers, but I guarantee you 100%, I can prove it with comps that the sellers they are leaving money on the table. In my case, Open Door called me and they offered me $165,000 for the house. And my immediate response was, I'm sorry, have you done your, have you checked the comps? Have you checked the comps on this neighborhood?
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in your office, Peter.
165? No, thank you, sir. So I put it back in the market, you see the difference. And this is what I'm talking about, like 2 weeks, I mean, like a month before, you know? So that's been my experience. And, you know, comps show is proof, you know?
Right. Know your worth.
Something interesting, a learning tidbit that I want to tell our audience here, very important.
Go for it.
On appraisal day, you know, this is all agents we do, most of us do. We pull the comps, obviously the comps that favorable to us, as long as they're legit according to the appraisal rules. And you have to be careful, you know, just be sure to meet the appraisal, try to empathize with them, and just politely suggest that you have some comps on the table if they may consider it. Be careful, because I remember once that the gentleman, he turned around and said, do you know what you're trying to do is illegal? I can report you right now. You're trying to steer me towards certain comps. Okay, sir, not a problem. You don't have to take them into consideration. So in this case, I left the comps on the table, and on his way out, I was waiting outside on my truck, and I said, hey, thank you so much for stopping by. Listen, quick question. For me as an agent, as a learning opportunity, what do you guys do when you have a detached building like the one on the back, which is permitted, but you can see need repairs, needs to be finished? How do you guys, apply value to it, or do you do credit, or how it is? He looked at me like this and he said, oh, okay. Show it to me. So we went to I opened it up, and then he said, well, I tried to open up, the door was stuck, that's why I didn't look at it. But you know what? He pulled the meter, he measured it up, took photos, make notations. He was not giving me a penny, not a penny. If it was not because I asked on his way out, he was not going to give me a penny of it. So
wasn't even considering it. Wow.
House of praise because I asked him on his way out, you know, just a simple question. And I don't know how much, I'm estimating maybe easily like $10,000 credit for that building.
Excellent. Don't ask, don't get. So let's go to the last slide. I don't see any other questions. Hold on. No, I don't see that. Just a statement. Someone's calling you pleasant, Peter. Calling you pleasant. So very nice. So with this deal, so it was a deal, it started out fantastic, dud. It started to look like maybe it wasn't going to go the way you wanted, and then the restoration is you coming full circle and making the profit on the deal. So what's your advice for a lot of the new folks that we have on here, just trying to jump into real estate? So what's your advice to them just getting started?
Well, this is something that I truly mean it by heart. You know, I've been in the club for 4.5 years, and I've seen people come and go. Okay. Some members have come to the club already having a large portfolio of properties on multifamily arena. Some of them already successful, so they joined the club to be around like-minded peers, and have access to resources and such. In my case, at that moment, 4.5 years ago, was $150. And I say this honestly, I just want to say thanks to the club and for the opportunity of serving, because those $150 changed my life forever.
Oh, so that's your membership. That's your membership, just to
at
be.
that moment, 100. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
$150. Now it's 175.
Yeah, it's a little more now,
Right.
but still worth it.
It's worth every single penny. So for those, new investors, just in the fence thinking about it, listen, there's no way you can get better value proposition for the knowledge, the relationships. Think about it, where you can build a relationship where you get into a property and purchase a property and make over $90,000 with zero money out of your pocket. I say it as 5 years ago was is that legal? Nah, what you smoking?
Right.
I'm very grateful. This is not about, when I thought about it, I was hesitant about presenting the deal because we want our membership to participate. So folks, please, I know there's a lot of you out there are very successful. You have a bunch of deals under your belt. Don't keep it to yourself. There's, if you have a scarcity mentality, that's too bad. This is abundance of wealth and knowledge out there. Share with people that may need it. Okay. So again, I would just want to say thanks to the club, the membership, and I love you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Love you too, Peter. So with that, nothing else needs to be said. I'm going to pass it back over to Todd. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Stefano. That was awesome. Those were some incredible deals. Those are the ones that kept me up at night. When I first joined, my head was spinning. Because I was thinking, these are normal people. They're just like me. If they can do it, I can do it. And that's what you should be thinking as well. If you haven't done your first deal yet, or you haven't hit a home run like those 2 home runs. Not always home runs. There's a lot of singles, a lot of doubles. We happen to see 2, in my opinion, I would say home runs tonight, and that's awesome. That's very inspirational. So Buffy, I'm going to circle back because we didn't have it in the slide before about the Landlording Academy. Forgot to talk about that. That is, there you go, Saturday, October 23rd. It's an all-day class here at the CFRI headquarters. You can see back behind me, I'm at the CFRI headquarters. Lunch is included. And Buffy, do you already have the panelists? Do you already know who the panelists are, if they would like to know?
Yes, I do. It's on our website. It'll be on the front page later tonight.
Okay.
I can tell you we've got Rob Arnold. We have, caught me off guard. We have Fern. We have Fern Seaburr. We have Heidi Smith, who's going to be, I'm going to tell you right now what we've got. We have Finding the Properties with Rob Arnold. We have Running the Numbers with Jeff Hardebeck. Inspections with John Bolton, the Inspectigator. Insuring Your Rental Properties with Colleen Pascio. Can't pronounce it. Anyway, Funding Your Rental Properties with Fern Seaburr. Qualifying Tenants with Heidi Smith. Managing Your Rental Properties with Tim Davis. And Tales from the Eviction Courts with Roland Acosta.
That's an all-star lineup. That's probably the best lineup I think we've had for the Landlording Academy. Excuse any of the teachers that have done it before, but that is a really, really good class. So the great thing about coming to a class like this, you get to learn from local experts that do it in our market, not in Georgia or California where the laws are different. You're dealing with people that are actual landlords here in Orlando. So that's awesome. So the class is $89 for members, $109 for non-members. And that is through the 18th, and then it goes up $30. And you can see the PHP credits. I highly recommend. If you had an inkling of becoming a landlord, before you put in that first tenant, you need to come to this class so you don't make some of those $1 million mistakes and get John Morgan against you. So again, Saturday, October 23rd at the CFRI headquarters, which is on Addison Road, right near Lee Road and I-4, basically, if you've never been here before. And we have a nice facility here. So, okay. Thank you, Buffy.
And
So
I'm gonna put the link up real quick is for the registration link, the direct registration link.
Okay, awesome. And remember, you can go to the chat and you still have time to register for the meeting after the meeting, where we'll have groups of 8 to 10 people in different groups, and you can get to know people on a more intimate basis, and you can have a beer or cocktail or do whatever you want, not whatever you want, but to have some fun and learn about investing and learn about other people. Okay. Tonight's program is going to be really, really cool. So we're having a spooktacular, I guess, spooky, unique deals in real estate. And we have 4 distinguished guests. And I'm going to say them in the order that they're going to go. And then we're going to come back to them and let them introduce themselves. Okay, so if the presenters could go ahead and turn on their mics, and because we'll get you to introduce yourselves, and then we'll go your stories one at a time. So we have Hope Richards, Greg Bond, Sue Fulco, and Andrew Braun. Hope, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, CFRI. Thanks for having me again. Nice to see y'all. My name is Hope. I am a real estate attorney in Florida. I'm a partner at RTR Law. I'm the head of our real estate division. And I also own RTR Title. We have 6 offices across the state of Florida. We are obviously investor friendly. And every time I come to CFRI, anytime I speak, I always like to mention the fact that I started my career with CFRI. I was a Tennessee attorney in my previous life. And when I got licensed in Florida, I did not know a living soul. And I completely 100% built my entire career off of CFRI. It's funny that Sandra Edmond is putting on the tax deed class, because my very first quiet title case, I met Sandra Edmond at CFRI and she walked me through it. So that was 15 years ago. So that gives you an idea of all the resources that are available to you at CFRI. An attorney built her entire career here, and a member walked her through a quiet title action. So that gives you a pretty good idea. But I'm Hope. I'm with RTR Title and RTR Law.
Okay. Next is Greg. Please introduce yourself, Greg. You're muted. Well, Greg, you're muted.
Title.
Greg, hit your space bar.
Okay, we're going to go to Sue. Sue Fulco. It says Frank under the things, but this is Sue Fulco. So please introduce yourself.
Yes, well, I'm Sue Fulco, as you said. I'm from Equity Title. And thank you again for having us on the panel tonight. But my daughter Cindy and I run Equity Title, and we're currently in our 20th year of operation. We've been CFRI members for probably 11 or 12 years. I can't recall exactly when we joined, but we have enjoyed handling transactions for all the investors throughout that time period. So Equity Title operates just like any other title company. By that, I mean conventional sales, retail sales, working with realtors, and commercial sales, all of that. But where we kind of are a little bit different is that than some of the other companies is that we're heavily investor experienced. Besides being married to, oh, he changed it. What'd you do? Change it? My name is on there now.
Buffy did it.
Oh, Buffy, thank you. No, besides being married to an investor and, going through that, being experienced in that realm, we have had the opportunity to handle so many investor closings and transactions, and some of the examples would be double closings. People talk about all the time, taking over payments and working with land trust companies and attorneys. and private lenders and using IRA funds, just to mention a few. So we love CFRI and all the investors involved and all of the, we use all of the vendors as well when we do our rehabs and things like that. So it's been such a wealth of information and help to us. We don't know how we'd even be in this business, you know, without it. So
Sue, tell us the name of your company. I don't think you mentioned it. I
it's
think
right
some
behind
people could
me.
see it, but
Yeah, right behind me.
Equity title.
Equity Title LLC. You can reach us at 863-802-9300. There is a free quote generator on our website, but you can also email us at the admin@equity-title.com.
awesome. So we'll go back to Andrew. Greg, why don't, oh, you got it on. So go ahead, Greg.
All right. Yeah, I'm Greg Bond. I've been at CFRI since 2014. Enjoyed a lot of things I've done and learned at CFRI. That's why I wanted to be involved on the board and give back. I've rehabbed about 250 houses since 2009. I found myself wanting to get out and diversify out of single family houses. So in 2016, I jumped into a couple other asset classes, being self-storage and assisted living. We're currently building an assisted living facility in Eustis, Florida. I see both of the deals were from Eustis. So we're right on North Shore Drive, right on Lake Eustis. We'll build a 101 bed facility. The 3 stories, about 86,000 square feet. So it should be quite a nice facility. And then we're also building right now a self-storage facility on Enterprise Road in Deltona. So I'm still continuing to do single family houses. I think that's, once it's in your blood, I think you can never stop. So I'll probably do that till the day I die. But enjoy working with everybody. We closed a lot of property or a lot of deals at Equity Title, and Sue is absolutely wonderful. We use Andrew for a lot of inspections. So the CFRI crew has really done a wonderful job for us, and we're thankful for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Andrew, unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please.
Hey, what's going on, family? My name is Andrew with ARB Home Inspections. That is right, always reaching beyond in our service, where we go on top of your roof, we go inside the attic, we go underneath the crawl space, we look at all the crazy, nasty things that nobody wants to go into, and I will stay in there for a very long time just to make sure that we're doing a good job. We do 4-point inspections, wind mitigation inspections, of course, full home inspections, checking out everything that you guys want. And if you ever need to reach out to us, we are 407-440-7. I totally forgot my phone number right now. Let me think of that again. 407-440-1761. Once again, that's 407-440-1761. So reach out to us. If I ever do anything wrong, you can always call the queen, Mrs. Braun. She will beat me, send me back out there with no lunch, no dinner, and make sure that I do the best job in the world. You know why? Because you guys are important. We are CFRI. I love working with you guys. I work with probably most of the people on this show right now so far. I just called it a show. It just makes it more interesting that way. Either way, y'all, reach out to ARB Home Inspections, where we're always reaching beyond in service. We love y'all, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay, so panelists, I am going to ask you to put your contact information in the chat. So if somebody, after they hear you talking, wants to get in touch with you, they will be able to. That's awesome. So what the order is going to be tonight is it's going to be Hope and Greg, then Sue, then Andrew, and then if Hope and Greg will give us a second spooky deal, time permitting. With that, we're going to go ahead and have Miss Hope Richards. Hope, welcome back.
Welcome back. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to show you guys is the deal. This is actually from a client of mine. His name is Andre Kressler, Kressler Real Estate. He's a retail agent, but I remember when he got this deal, he called me because he goes, Hope, I have a house across from a cemetery. It's probably haunted. Do I have to disclose it? I was like, no. I was like, you sure don't. So this is going to be a video that he posted as part of his marketing I only did it because it totally cracked me up. So this is Andre doing his fancy little video montage, and I'll tell y'all kind of what came up in our conversations after.
Welcome to our latest offering here in the sought-after Bel Air neighborhood in the heart of downtown Orlando. I'm Andre Kressler with Kressler Real Estate. And today I'd like to introduce you to our newest listing overlooking Lake Meldona. You're within walking distance to downtown Orlando and the highly desired Boone High School and Lake Como School District. 900 Bahama Drive is sitting on a massive 13,000 square feet of land with a separate climate-controlled storage space, a beautifully maintained yard, and the best part about this property, you get to have quiet neighbors. Inside, you will find an incredible floor plan with 2 separate living spaces, the main house on the upper floor, and a completely separate in-law suite downstairs. The nearly 1,000 square feet outdoor patio is an entertainer's delight. Enjoy covered outdoor dining with stunning sunset views overlooking the water. Wow, waterfront in downtown Orlando, no HOA and quiet neighbors are a rare find these days. Give us a call to schedule your private showing today.
Walking to downtown Orlando, that's a little bit of a stretch, Hope.
Listen, it didn't sell. But so the point was, he had that deal come up and he was really worried about his disclosure requirements. This is one of those things. I like to think that nothing's happened in real estate that I've never done before. I feel like I at least have some sort of idea. I didn't really know if he had an obligation to disclose things that the sellers told him about that property. So that's the reason I brought this up. Florida is one of the few states actually where there is absolutely zero disclosure requirements. So someone could die in the house, someone could be murdered in the house. You could know that, or whatever, you believe it or not, there's paranormal activity. You do not have to disclose it. But if you are straight up asked about it, you can't lie about it. So if you are straight up asked about it, you do have to disclose anything like that may have happened in the property. It's a statute that, Florida was very specific. This does not fall into latent defects that someone could not have known because they completely overrode that with the statute. So that was one of those really interesting things where a client called and I actually did not know the answer off the top of my head. And it was really interesting research. And I did more research last night on it, but that was a good one. And then disclosure requirements, he did it anyway. So for those that are wondering, the house did not sell after substantial price reductions, and the seller just couldn't possibly understand why. So that was my one spooky deal. But I've got it on kind of for y'all. That was a good one though.
So how close was it to a cemetery that he was worried about disclosing? Was it literally right across the street?
He wasn't worried about the disclosure. I mean, that's pretty obvious. There was like no hedge or anything. I mean, it's right across the street. He was worried because the seller was adamant that there was paranormal activity. So he was worried about a haunting. So that's why I thought this is a really good one. I mean, dead set. He was disclosing all of this stuff to Andre Kressler, the agent that you guys saw. And he thought, well, what if I don't sell? And what if someone does believe in it? And what if they feel like it affects the marketability and the value of the property? Because he was thinking about that case. I wrote it down here. Oh, Johnson versus Davis is the one that we all think about our seller disclosures on the FAR bar contract. You have to disclose latent defects that someone could not possibly know that affect the value of the property. Well, to some people, a haunting might do that. So he was worried that he might actually need to disclose a haunting. There's no hiding, there's a cemetery across the street. So for marketing purposes, you might as well play it up. No point in hiding it. But there's no disclosure requirement about there being a haunting or even a murder, a suicide, a death. You would think that would be concerned, but you don't have to.
Let's talk about some other disclosures, Hope. Would you have to disclose a train track really come out and tell them when the sounds come by?
No, you would. That's something that would be obvious. I mean, as long as if you can see the train tracks there, you don't have to disclose something. It's a latent defect, so it's something that someone could not see with their naked eye or with reasonable knowledge. So you wouldn't have to disclose a train track. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I mean, depending on, wasn't there that bar in Winter Park when the train track went by, everybody took a tequila shot? So it all depends. Y'all know what I'm talking about, the old school people in Winter Park.
PRs.
Yes, yes. And now it's in College Park, or it was. So no, I don't think you have to disclose that. That would be pretty evident.
What about a dump that had a really bad smell? Would you have to disclose that if it wasn't visible, but you could smell it during certain times? You know?
I don't know that that's going to affect the value. I don't know that's a defect either.
Okay.
I don't know that I would have to disclose that. I wouldn't consider it a defect, and I don't know that it would affect value. That would be a matter of perception. Something that you, like an example of something that you would need to disclose of like a latent defect is, I actually have a case about this right now. It was a septic issue. The guy fixed his septic tank, but he did not replace the drain field. And he knew that there was an issue with the city as far as environmental issues with that drain field, and he didn't disclose it. So now the buyers are stuck with like this $25,000 repair because there are environmental issues also. That's a latent defect that he should have disclosed. That would be an example of something that you couldn't possibly know otherwise. And he knew about the environmental issues and everything. So that's a case that I have on this particular issue on latent defects.
Okay. The case that you mentioned, I was not familiar with that. What was that about? Somebody dying?
That's what the FAR bar seller disclosures are based on, is that particular case. It's based on the seller disclosures and latent defects. I don't know what the particular fact pattern was. I don't even remember it anymore. But that's what you see like in your FAR bar standard contracts. That's what it was all based from.
I remember where I grew up in Jacksonville, there was a famous murder in a really, really, really nice neighborhood. House sold, and the buyer sued the seller 2 months later for they didn't tell them that there was a gruesome murder there, and they lost the case. And it was a big, big case all over the news. And yeah, so
What was it?
35, 40 years ago, something like that. Long time ago. It was a long time ago. But yeah, so what other things should you disclose that you might disclose? Like, let's say I've always took the stance that I don't want to know about predators because then I'll close it. If you know about sexual predators living in the neighborhood, is that something you have to disclose?
You know what? I actually researched this because it was coming up. I was researching about masks, whether or not you can wear masks. I was trying to find out funny laws about Halloween. And this actually came up because of trick-or-treaters, whether or not sexual predators are allowed to have children come up to their house for trick-or-treating. So that actually came up today in my research. If you know that there is someone in your neighborhood, then you do have to disclose it, but you have to know about it. And there's actually a public registry too. So there's a lot of case law on this particular issue because there's a public registry. I mean, there's apps where you can find out if there are sexual predators within your neighborhood. So that's kind of public knowledge. So the one side of the coin says that's public knowledge. That's something that's not latent and you could find with diligent effort. The other side is your next door neighbor and you know that he's on the list and you should disclose. So in that particular situation, I would probably disclose if you know that, homeboy walks his dog in front of your house where your kids are going to be doing their sidewalk chalk. I'd probably go ahead and disclose that situation. But if you just live in a bad neighborhood and Pine Hills happens to be a block away, then it might not.
So let me ask you a secondary question. If you're a wholesaler, we have a lot of wholesalers in the group. They never lived in the house, but they got knowledge secondhand. Are they required to disclose secondhand knowledge that they were not first party to?
Okay, so anyone that's ever heard me give a class knows that I have two trains of thought. There is the real world answer and there is the legal answer. And I am known for giving the real world answer because I'm an investor. I have never once, as an investor who did not occupy the house, given a seller disclosure. I don't give it. I say I never lived in it. And how could I possibly know? All I can give you is my repair list. I don't do them. So that's my real world answer. My legal answer is if you feel like there is a way that they could find out that you knew about it and impute that knowledge upon you, there's my legal jargon, the heretofore there are. If you think that they could impute that knowledge upon you, then you should disclose. But as an investor who has never occupied a property other than the one that I sit in right now, that I have rehabbed, I do not fill out seller disclosures. I don't care what I know.
Okay, awesome. And Hope, please remember to put your information in the chat so that they can contact you. Any questions for Hope before we go on about this particular deal? Any questions for Hope? Okay, thank you, Hope. We're going to go to Mr. Greg Braun next. Greg, are you with us? Is your mic working?
I am with you. The mic is working now.
Awesome, thank you. Go ahead. Tell us
All right.
about your spooky deal.
Well, we had an unfortunate situation where we had some tenants that were not paying the rent. But the real deal was the tenant, we did not have a lease with those tenants. Our tenant allowed these people into the home and they were there several months. She got sick and went to the hospital. She was there about 10 days. When she came home and tried to open her door, her key wouldn't work. While she was gone, the people she had let in the house changed the locks. They changed the electric into their names. And she called us to ask for our help. And we said, we can't help you, call the police. Well, the police came and said, you can't, you're going to have to evict these people because you let them in and they're now getting their mail there and the electric is in their name. And so she didn't want to go through that process. So she moved in with some friends and left them in the house. Well, the only remedy that we have is to file an eviction action against her, which we did. Once COVID lifted, so it took about 6 or 7 months. During that time, they had the electricity turned off and Duke Energy came out, put the little tabs on the meter, put the meter back in. Well, as soon as Duke Energy left, they took the meter out, took the tabs back off, put it back in, so they've got electricity again. Well, Duke Energy obviously knows that. They came back out, took the meter. The people in the house then stole the meter from another house and put the meter back in. Duke Energy came out and took the wires, some wires out and disconnected things so they couldn't just put a meter in. Well, then they tried to, and they damaged the meter can. Duke Energy came out and reported that to the city. And then me as the property owner got notice that my meter can was damaged and I have to provide a proper meter can for the tenants to have electricity. So I had to spend $952 repairing the meter can for tenants who weren't paying me rent, who I couldn't evict because of COVID. So we finally get them evicted. Now, during that time, they also did the same thing with the water. So there was no water in the house.
Greg, let me stop you right there. You had to do unlawful detainer, right? Not an eviction?
No, we evicted everybody that was in the house. And according to our lease with the tenant, even though she was not in the house, so we evicted her and every other person that happened to be in the house.
Okay, so you didn't have to do an ejectment or an unlawful detainer.
No.
That surprises me. The people you were giving, go ahead.
So there's no water nor electric in the house for probably 4 to 5 months. They were doing drugs in the house, as you might expect. And we finally get to the eviction, and we had the day that the eviction was going to happen, and the writ of possession was issued. We had a dumpster placed in the driveway. Once we had them out, we have a clean out crew. They went in. One of the guys was in for about 3 minutes. He came running out and threw up in the yard. There was, the smell was so bad. There was gallon jugs of urine and 5-gallon buckets of feces and drug paraphernalia and needles, and the refrigerator, obviously they didn't clean out. It was just mold and maggots and nastiness. And so they got the house cleaned out, and that night the neighbors heard them come back, and they about 2:30 in the morning, and by 3:15 the roof was on fire. The neighbors across the street called the fire department, and that what you see is the charred remains. It burned burned the, there's several other pictures. I don't know, Buffy, if you've got a couple more pictures there. The garage was a one-car garage, happened to be wood frame, so that totally burned out. The back porch was wood frame, so that burned off. Basically, all the trusses in the company or in the on the roof burned out. So basically, it's the weirdest one I've ever dealt with. So I've been doing this about 30 years, and it very, very strange. We met some repair people that do fire restoration. They said that the wall there that you see that was the garage that the house shared with the garage, they said that's too badly damaged, so that has to come down. All the other block walls are we can basically repair. So we're going to turn this particular property into a 3-2. It was a 2 1.5, and we're going to turn it into a full 3-2.
Frank, Greg, let me ask you a question. The
Yes.
fire department determined that it was arson, or was it an electrical issue, and what
No,
covered by insurance?
it was arson, and so it is covered by insurance.
Okay.
So we're basically working with the insurance company to get the insurance proceeds to repair the house. And like I said, rather than turning it back into the 3 1.5 or the 2 1.5, we'll turn it back into a 3-2 because there is room to do that. And while we're tearing it apart, we might as well make it more valuable. And then I'll basically sell it once everything is back up and repaired, and we've got it looking decent again.
Did you have to do anything to secure the house once it burned down? Were there any other costs that you had to do?
We haven't as of this point. There's a full fence around the full house, so we've just locked the fence off, so it goes out to the sidewalk. So it's just a chain link, a 4-foot chain link fence. So we've just done that, and the city is aware of what we're doing, and hopefully we won't have any issues, and we'll be able to get it cleaned up before we get any code violations or anything of that nature.
You said you're working with the insurance company. How long ago did this happen?
That happened about 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay. Has the insurance company given you an idea of when they think they might pay the claim?
Not as of this point. They set an adjuster out, and they said they're very, very far behind in this sort of thing, and they've got a limited amount of adjusters. So they said, it would take a little while for them to get to it. And like I said, it took about 3 weeks. So
I'm curious if the police thought you were a suspect, or was it known for
No.
sure that, were you a suspect at first?
no, not that I'm aware of. I mean, they'd been out there like 52 times for drug related issues. So I think that they understood that there was a rather large problem there at the house, and the neighbors had complained, and they took the neighbor's statement that they heard the same guys that had lived there. They heard them at 2:30 in the morning, that they rode their bikes back, and they heard them at the house trying to get in, and apparently it broke a window to get into the garage to start the fire. So.
Did they find accelerant? Is that what happened? They poured gas or something?
I think it was lighter fluid. I'm not 100% positive. They just said that the fire started, it was arson, and it did start in the garage.
Okay. So is there anything you would do differently now with your leases or with your insurance based on what happened to you?
Todd, that's the odd thing about this particular situation. There's really nothing that I can see that we could have done different. We couldn't get these guys out of the house. We knew they were doing drugs. The CDC rules, prohibited us from evicting them, even though they knew all this crazy stuff was going on in the house. So it's just an unfortunate situation. The tenant that was there, her and her husband had been there for 10 years. He passed away about 3 years ago, and she had, I think, had these people in the house probably someplace between 3 and 6 months. She had let them come in and felt sorry for them. And I don't know the whole situation, on why she let them in or what was going on with that, but it was certainly not something. So I guess, one of the lessons learned is, tell your tenants that if they let somebody stay with them, that those tenants can have rights, and they might not be able to get them out if they let somebody stay with them. So.
Okay, so got a couple questions. Alan Daniels wants to know, how long did the eviction take? Between what dates?
Eviction took slightly over 6 months to be able to get them out. And again, as soon as the CDC moratorium was lifted, we were able to get them out
Okay.
because
And
everything was already lined up and ready to go.
And David Fonseca asked, did anybody get charged with anything yet?
Unfortunately, nobody saw anybody light the fire. The neighbors heard them, but nobody saw. There's no eyewitnesses to say this person started the fire or that person started the fire. So there's really nothing that we could do.
And where is this located?
This
Romeo asked.
This is up in Deltona.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's a crazy, crazy, crazy story. Did you have good insurance? I hate to ask that, but.
Yeah, insurance is okay. We should, it's going to be a bit more to repair just because we're putting on the full bath and the extra bedroom. So, but yeah, we still should do okay with the property.
Okay.
It's just a hassle and a headache.
You're close to being whole?
Yeah, I'll come out whole. I'll probably make a small profit on it. But again, I've had it for 10 years. It's been rented the whole time by one tenant. So I've had no vacancy. I've had very few repairs. I think we remodeled a bathroom once for them, maybe put in some flooring in the back porch area, done a few odds and ends for improvements. Most of my tenants, I like when the lease comes up for renewal, I like to ask them if they, there's anything they would like to do to improve the property, anything that we can do for them at renewal time. So it keeps good tenants in and improves the property at the same time. And so
I have a question too. It was a frame house. Are you going back with block or are you going back with frame?
It was the only thing that was framed was the back porch and the 1-car garage. No, I'd prefer to go back all block, but we'll see how cost-wise, how the costs are going to run, and in light of what the full cost of the project is, we'll determine it at that point. So we haven't made that determination yet.
Okay. So Alan asked a follow-up question. Does your insurance cover lost rents?
I had that rider on the policy. So yes, it will give me 12 months worth of rents while this process is going on.
Do you mind me asking how much that rider was?
Todd, off the top of my head, I don't know because it's overall. I just pay the policy amount, so I'm not sure exactly what that amount is, but it's not that it's not
unreasonable.
No, I sometimes I carry it, sometimes I don't. In this particular case, a lot of times once I have properties paid off, I self-insure. And in this particular case, because of what was going on 3 months before the fire, I actually put insurance back on because I did not have insurance. So I put insurance back on the house.
You were self-insuring this 3 months before the fire?
Correct.
Holy cow, you're walking right, my man.
Well, you kind of get a feel for it, Todd. Once somebody's in a house and they're not paying rent and they're in there for several months, they tend to get an attitude that they own it and they should never have to pay again, and they haven't been paying, and why should they have to pay? So I've experienced that in a number of cases. And in this particular case, just because of the drug activity, I said, you know what, they're going to be pissed off when they get kicked out of the little drug haven. And so I want to put insurance back on the property.
So that brings up a good question. A lot of times it's difficult to get insurance when you don't have insurance currently. Was it hard for you to get insurance?
No, we've got enough properties that we have an overall policy that we just add properties and take properties off as we buy and sell. So we're constantly adding and subtracting properties. So we just added this one back on.
So it was an umbrella policy.
Correct.
Okay. So it wasn't an individual policy.
No.
Interesting. That's really cool. Does anybody have any questions for Greg? Let's see. No, don't see any other questions in the Q&A. So nothing that you would change. That surprises me. Usually this big of a thing, that something would change, but.
Yeah, again, Todd, we had the previous tenant said they'd been in there for 10 years. We'd had no problem. They paid every month. And then even after the husband passed away, the wife continued to pay. The son actually was living with them, an adult son, and he got married and moved out, which isn't, uncommon. When he gets married, he wants to have his own place. So that wasn't an issue. The only thing that we didn't we're not aware of is that she invited these other people to come in and live with her. And, I just don't know what her mindset was or how that all came about. So.
We have one more question. Doesn't umbrella policy only cover if you're sued? And what will the ARV for property be when you're finished?
Again, I'm not 100% sure of that. I don't even know right now how big of bedrooms and the half bath where we're going to turn into a full bath. I'm not sure how all that's going to play out. It's too new, and we haven't really got all those facts and figures done yet. So I honestly don't know at this point.
Okay. And then Stefano asks, how long are you willing to wait for the adjusters to give you the money?
Good question. With insurance companies, I've had my share of issues with insurance companies, but we've hired an adjuster as well, basically to handle the process with the insurance company, just because I don't want to deal with that. If it was something I dealt with every day, I would probably go ahead and do it myself, but I hired an adjuster to handle that whole process. They handle the whole rehab and the cleanup and everything else that goes along with it. I didn't want to burden our current staff with dealing with that on top of everything else they're doing day in and day out. So we'll have somebody else handle it and basically hand us the keys when they're done.
Mark Johnson asks an interesting question. Have you looked at it to see if it'd be more profitable sell as is versus rehab and build with labor and material costs and all the other things? Did you consider that, selling it as is?
Yeah, we're looking at that right now. It's like I said, we haven't got our figures back yet, so that may be an exit strategy for us, is selling it just like it is. But I'm anticipating that adding the full bath and the third bedroom will improve that property price to a point that it'll be worthwhile. And so that's, but we're not set on that yet either.
Okay. Well, that's cool. That's a really, I hate to say interesting, but a very unique tale.
Yeah, I seem to come across those, Todd.
Yeah. Okay, Greg, thank you very, very much.
Absolutely.
And we'll hear from Greg again. We're going to circle back to him. So next we have Mrs. Sue Fulco. Sue, take it away, please.
All right. Well, after being in business such a long time, there are a lot of deals that I've come across, but should I pick the one with the family all signed and ready to go with a new house at Christmas time? They even had grandma there with the van packed out in front, and then the lender went out of business and didn't fund it. Or the one where the survey came in and showed that the 1929 rehabbed house was built 2 foot into an alley that was not vacated. The lender said, oh, that's fine. And then when it came time to fund it, the lender said, no, it's not fine. So, but I picked this one. It really gave me a little bit of a shock and a horror when I reviewed the title work on it. So Buffy, if you want to put that back up there. First of all, just kind of picture yourself going into buying a lot that you want to put your forever home on. And you purchased the lot in August of 2019. This is our client. You can see by it's lot 4, and it's a flag piece of property, which, for those who don't understand, but it looks just like a flag. You have a long driveway into the property. And this was a fairly new subdivision. So, and it's kind of small, but our client purchased that. And then a couple of months later, they decided they got the plans ready. They went for a construction loan on that lot 4. And they had everything ready for their forever home. They weren't going to move again. So it took about 6 or 8 months, probably a little bit longer, to build the house. But in sometime in late October or early November in 2020, now this is a year later, they said, well, why do we want to sit and look at the back of someone else's house? Why don't we buy lot 5? So, and it was available still. So they went ahead and put a contract on lot 5. So we went ahead and did the title work because we did the title work from before. We knew, the parties involved and everything. So what could have happened in that year that would shock us and, put the brakes on, so to speak, for them just buying the lot so that they would have that nice big piece of property. So when we did the title search for lot 5, we found that in May of 2020, now we're now in November 2020, this was last year, a deed and a mortgage were sold or were put on record for lot 8. And if you can't see that, that's probably the next slide, I think, that we put up. There's lot 8 right there. Not even close, but lot 8. That's what they had intended to buy. But when the title company, now this wasn't us, it was a fairly newer title company in town, and I'm not sure how it happened, but the legal description for lot 8 really became the legal description prior to this subdivision being platted. So it encompassed the whole subdivision. So even our lot 4, obviously our lot 5, these people owned, which they really only wanted lot 8, and that's where their house was already constructed. They didn't have to build or anything, it was already there. So again, we have to go back to the owners of lot 4 and buying lot 5 and say, guess what? We've got a little issue here going on. But the curious thing to me about this whole, and it's not scary, nothing burned down and there weren't any cemeteries around, but the curious thing was that lot 8, when they bought it in May of 2020, nothing was recorded or put on record until September. I don't know how that happened or why that happened, but so much could have happened in the meantime. So many other lots may have sold at that time, which were not mine.
Can I stop you? Because I think there's going to be some questions on this. Are you saying that lot 8's legal description got put on lot 5's? It got interchanged?
No. What I'm saying is they didn't put lot 8, such and such a subdivision. They put the whole meets and bounds. I don't have it in front of me, but they put the whole meets and bounds of the whole subdivision when our sellers to our client purchased the property. So they
that encumbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You're saying
correct.
Okay.
It encumbered the whole property with the deed and the mortgage, and the mortgage was just for that, like I said, lot 8, which had a house on it already. So what could we do? Well, we called the other title company, and those are the calls that you don't want to get if you're that title company. But anyway, they were very gracious and nice enough to figure out really quickly what to do to get everything situated so that our people could obviously have lot 4 as they did and, buy lot 5. So we worked with them. They deeded back the property to the original owners, the whole parcel, before it was platted. And then they signed the deed, and they also released that mortgage and reclosed on that mortgage. So it took an extra maybe 3 or 4 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know the exact time frame, but at least it it didn't take that long, in the realm of things, because sometimes it could take months if they have to do more research and things like that. But our owners were like, what happened? And truthfully, when I was examining the title work that came back on it, I was kind of in some kind of a shock situation myself, because I've never seen anything like that. They took it from the wrong deed. The legal description they took from the wrong deed. So.
Okay. So what would have happened if they wouldn't have been cooperative? What was your remedy at that point? And would the title insurance have covered it?
Yeah, well, that is a good question. Then the underwriters would have had to take care of that. But again, that was just an error. And I think that most companies want to correct their errors, and when it's brought to their attention, and it would be more of an attorney thing if they had to, go to court to get them to change that. And obviously, again, the curious thing about it was the property appraiser somehow knew that it was lot 8 that they bought, because they had it down as lot 8, even though the legal description on the deed was incorrect. I'm not certain how all of it played together, but I was just happy to get it taken care of, and everybody closed before the end of the year. So that was a good thing as well.
I thought you were going to tell me that lot 4 had an unencumbered easement, and that lot 5 was going to make them pay for that easement type of thing.
No, nothing that crazy, but I've had several, and Frank keeps telling me about all of these other ones that we have, but this one just came to mind because it was a little more current than a lot of the older, issues that we've had and fun that we've had.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Andrew, you're up. So turn on your mic, please, and give us your bright, shiny face. Got to get your mic on. There you go.
All right, perfect. So I always like to just talk about it from an inspector standpoint, because we get to go and see all the interesting, scary looking houses. So I'm going to bring you guys to the ARB Home Inspection Zoo, where I get to see live creatures that shouldn't be inside your house in the most weirdest places, like that rat that I caught in the attic one time. That was like the most perfect photo, because it's so hard to catch a live animal actually running in action. And he was just there waiting for me to take him. He was perfectly positioned. Lovely shot there. Go to the next one. And these are his cousins at another house that did not survive the attic too long. So in other words, I want to tell investors, when you guys are even getting ready to purchase a house, make sure your inspector goes into the attic, because there's a lot of good goodies up there that you don't want somebody else to find, because I've seen literally buyers freak out over stuff like this, which I tell them it's not a big deal. It's easy to remove, but it's always amusing for my own interest thing. So just make sure they check it out. Now, this one actually freaked me out, because you know what? I didn't know I had a phobia of bats. I love Batman, I'm all about that kind of stuff, but I didn't realize it until you actually see it, because I walk into the house and you're hearing these sounds and I'm like, okay, maybe something outside or maybe some critter, I don't know. So I'm like, all right, let me just, continue to do my thing. And I go on top of the roof and I look down the chimney and you see these 2 bats, doing their little, bat thing. I don't know what they do down there, but they doing their thing. And it was, but I ain't gonna lie, it kind of freaked me out, because I'm not used to seeing bat. I didn't know I was scared of them until I saw them, doing their bat thing in the bat cave, we'll call it. All right, next slide there.
Andrew, was there evidence of bat feces at the bottom of that chute?
It's a chimney, so it's a fireplace. So when you see feces and ash and different scenarios, and remember, it wasn't investor property. So yeah, you guys already know what investor properties look like. So it was a mixture of stuff that wouldn't naturally appear to be that way. The only thing that really caught my attention was the sound effects that they were making in the little bat cave. That was, truth be told. Yes. So this picture here is just the fun and evidence of termites. Now, the house that I went into, it was literally, I'm surprised we were walking in it and it didn't fall apart. Like, because there were termite damage everywhere. It was an all frame house. There was termite damage in the stairs, the walls, the floors. I mean, it was insane. Worst house I've ever seen termite wise, but it was awesome for at least show and tell in that case. Next slide.
So go back to that one, Buffy, so just people can see. That was the piles left over from the termites eating?
Grass, it was everywhere. Yes, it was all over the place. Stairwells, floors, walls, ceilings. There was a second story. I scared myself to death just to walk up the stairs to look at the second stories. I was holding on to a railing that, of course, was termite damage as well. Like, I really wasn't safe. I don't even know why I was in the house, to be honest with you. After a few minutes of walking through, I just called my investor and said, we can't do this. Like, it's just not worth it for you to do this. It's scary at this point. You might have bought it either way.
So what can investors do to know whether it's termites? What would you say when you're walking through a house, where to look? Most common places that you find termite damage, Andrew?
Common places from my experience are going to be the attics, a lot of times in the ceiling joist. That's a very common one. I usually pop my head in there, and sometimes literally just touching them or tapping them, they'll start to cave in. What you're seeing there is actual frass. So look for that stuff around like window seals is a very common place to see them as well. Window frames, especially in the crawl space. Usually the areas that nobody likes to check over time is usually where they like to go to town and eat at. So yeah, I usually kind of look around, even door frames. I've seen a couple in door frames. Older houses, you might even see them in wood floors. Tapping around some wood floors is a good thing to do too. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Now, inspector's worst nightmare. You get to a house, you see a crawl space, automatically you're like, oh crap, it's gonna be hot, it's gonna be nasty. So you're getting yourself ready. Now, what about when it's guarded by snakes? That just sucks. I mean, let's just be, it's just no getting around. I'm like, why would this happen? But you know, as an inspector, we got to do our job. So I still, I move them out the way. Thank God they were all on the outside and I didn't see any on the inside, which was surprising to me. I mean, I think one of the scariest things that I've seen in the crawl space is when I was in there and there were eyes. I mean, it's, pitch black in the crawl space. You don't even know what you're seeing. And all of a sudden these eyes are looking at me. Now I literally almost wet myself, which is bad in the crawl space because I can't go nowhere. It's just, I'm kind of stuck in my own situation there. So, but thank goodness it was just the owner's cat that got underneath there to do their thing. I thank God I was so happy, but I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a moment there. Anyway, all right, next photo. Ladies and gentlemen, so what about when you guys see live roaches in your oven? You see those little things? It was the coolest thing. I'm like, holy crap. And honestly, it was in a townhouse. It was a nice, decent townhouse built in the 90s. And it was a little dirty, but not investor dirty, And I'm like, so I'm looking around doing my thing. And I'm like, what is that black thing? It's the darn roach crawling in the oven. I'm like, wow, I would have never thought that they could hang out in the oven like that. So you got the bat cave, you got roaches in the oven, you got all kind of interesting stuff in my world. I just love seeing it. Yes, that is awesomely enough in that case. All right, next slide. So I had to call a couple of my inspector friends and say, if you guys ever seen anything of interest, how do you feel about seeing a raccoon hanging out in the attic? I'm telling you guys, the best stuff happens in the attics, in the crawl spaces, and all those ugly places that you don't want to go. This is why you hire us, to go there so we can make sure that we find it for you. But yes, those are peering eyes. And I know we had to turn on the lights big and bright there because you wouldn't, naturally in the dark, you're just going to see those eyes and freak out. Anyway, all right, next slide.
Hold on, Andrew, go back to that because I just want to ask something about those three vertical boards there. Those far left ones don't look good. Was that truly okay or was that bad?
Actually, it looks like it was additional support. Now, I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I reached out to another inspector on this one and they sent me this photo. So I can't 100% speak from.
Okay.
Yeah, from an inside perspective.
That looks scary to me too.
Oh yeah, actually look a lot. I see a lot of stains, water damage, moisture, and probably even some termite activity around there too. All kind of loose wires that probably shouldn't be connected improperly. Yeah, anyway, that's just a whole different world of interest there. Now, don't you guys hate when you get a little mousey gets stuck on your electrical panel? This is why it's so important to make sure that all the holes are covered. A lot of times people have missing circuit breakers and they say, I need to cover that up. What's going to get in there? our little friends like these. So just remember, keep the holes closed in your electrical panel. Make sure nothing gets inside places that you don't want it to go, because that's just not the place, because they do urinate, they do die there. And yeah, it's just not a pretty sight. Next photo. Y'all, now this one I did not see. I have to be honest. I don't know what in the world died in that one. This was somebody else, something they sent me, but I had to include it in the ARB Zoo because I just thought it was pretty cool to look at in that case. If anybody can even tell me what they think this is, I'd be curious to hear some thoughts, because I don't know. I don't know if it's a dog, a cat.
We think it's a cat.
You think it's a cat? Okay.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, it's a long cat. Like,
That's it.
That's a collar.
It's a dog.
It
The tail's too long for a cat, Buffy. I'm pretty sure it's a dog.
When you come on Friday, I'll show you some long-tailed cats.
Okay. You can send those pictures to me too, Buffy, for my Zoom. Let's keep it interesting. Oh, someone put a monkey. I like that's an interesting answer. Oh man, but yeah, I just thought that was cool, so I had to include that one in there. All right, next slide. Okay, so this was really interesting. So this one I actually did inspect. So I'm in the attic and you're seeing all this hair and I'm like, what in the world is going on here? So after much research, asking questions and figuring out, it's called delinification. So I guess it's when the glue inside the timber starts to deteriorate and the actual top core of the truss itself starts to deteriorate as well. And the fibers within the board starts to come on the outside. And this one just got really hairy. So but it wasn't just in that one area. It was in a few different spots. At
What,
first,
say it again. I've never heard that term.
delinification. It's on Google. I trust me, I had to do some research. I had to ask around. I'm like, what in the world is going on? Like, who died and left their mama in the house? I don't know what that was. Took me a long time to figure it out. But yeah, delinification. Google it. It's actually pretty interesting in that case. But yeah, I've never seen it that extreme because it was all over the place. It wasn't just in that one area.
Do you know what causes it?
The cause of it, I don't know. I know it's the deterioration of the glue that kind of keeps the timbers together. As it starts to deteriorate, for some reason, the fibers start to kind of expand outward. How exactly it all works, I don't know. It's above my pay grade, to be honest with you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I literally, it was something I had to do some research on myself, and even just the words that they were using in there kind of gave me a headache. So, but anyway, just fun inspector stuff there. All right, next slide. And this one is my cousin Larry. Now, just kidding. This is one of those things that you open up a garage and I'm not expecting to see anything. And this dude's just standing at me. I ain't gonna lie, I freaked. I had a moment. I done lost my blackness for a second. I had a moment. I'm like, holy crap. What is going on there? Oh man, it was crazy. But thank goodness he wasn't real. He wasn't alive. They just had him there for a regular day. It wasn't even Halloween yet. He was just hanging out there and stuff. I just had to include that one because I just thought it was cool and it kind of scared me for a second. So I figured I just want to share that with you. So that is my ARB home inspection zoo plus interesting things for no reason that I wanted to show you. And if you have any questions, I might see it.
Okay, so thank you, Andrew. We're running out of time. So what I would like to do is for the four people to open their mics back up and give us your contact information again. So Hope, we'll start with you.
First of all, can Andrew be on every single CFRI panel ever?
Yeah.
And whoever made the comment that it's a panther, that was hilarious. Okay. Sorry, you don't get this over with. Okay, I can't stop laughing at Andrew though. That was like the best panel presentation I think I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Best friends. You're like my spirit.
Awesome.
Okay, I am Hope Richards. I am a real estate attorney with RTR Law and I own RTR Title. So let me give you my contact information. The easiest number is 833 RTR Title. And my email is hrichards@rtrlaw.com. So that's probably the best contact information, and follow us on social media because that's where we put on all of our education. Anytime I want to I announce it.
Thank you, Hope. Okay, Greg, you're up next. Give us your contact information, please.
Yeah, Greg Bond, 407-252-9658, or my personal email, gregbond7@me.com. property manager, and we're always looking for hard money to fund our projects. So
Thank you, Greg. Sue, please give us your contact information.
All right, Sue Fulco, Equity Title LLC, 863-802-9300. That's the office. You can get me at either sue@equity-title.com or admin@equity-title.com.
Awesome. Andrew. You got
Yep. Andrew with ARB Home Inspection. Phone number is 407-440-1761. This time my wife actually wrote it down on a napkin, so that's her looking out for me. Sorry, y'all. Once again, 407-440-1761.
get her to show her face, Andrew. You always call her your queen. Get her to show.
Hi, everybody.
Is lovely. Baby, stop.
Okay. Okay, so thank the panelists, and I also want to thank Stephen and the Deal of the Month people, Peter and Stefano. That was really good, inspiring, some great stories. I hope we had a learning experience for sure. Buffy, is it still time that they can get into the meeting after the meeting? Excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. I put it, the link up in the chat. It is for CFRI members only. You've got to go to the CFRI site and click here, and you're going to register, and then you'll get a Zoom link. And just give me about 2 minutes after we close this one out, and we will start that one up. And we're going to break into groups. We'll start as a whole group, and then we'll break into small groups.
Okay,
So we
I
will
just
see
want to
everybody
remind
there.
you, Buffy, if you could, before we leave, if you can, put up the 2 classes again. We have Sandra Edmonds' class this Saturday on Zoom, and then we have the Landlording Academy on the 23rd, I think it was. So you can register for both of those classes at cfri.net, or you can call Buffy at 407-328-7773. That's the office number, and she answers. She can always help you if you're having issues or would like to do it over the phone. But the easiest thing is right over the internet, cfri.net, Sandra's class, and then the Landlording Academy. You don't want to miss either of those classes. That's first-rate education for really cheap. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Jay, for letting me fill in. I appreciate it, and I enjoyed it. And I hope to see you at the next Orange County meeting, the 3rd Wednesday of every month. I lead that group, so hopefully you'll join us for that. Buffy, anything else before we leave?
That's it. We're going to close this out, and we'll all go over to the meeting after the meeting. And if our panelists would like to join us, then you just need to click on that link above and join us as well.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.